Good evening, everybody. This is the September 24th Subcommittee meeting on Ways and Means. Would all please rise and salute the flag? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Roll call of the members of the Ways and Means Subcommittee. Councilor Guanasso?
Here.
Here. Councilor Morbido?
Here.
Here. Councilor Patch?
Here.
Here. Councilor Rotundo is absent, and Chairman Rizzo?
Here.
Here. Quorum is present.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. There's only one item on the agenda, and it's 18-245, a communication from the Director of Finance requesting the acceptance of Mass General Laws, Chapter 32B, Section 20, relative to OPEB, other post-employment benefits. I see our Director of Finance here, George Anzoni. George, would you like to explain what it is that you're looking for here this evening?
Thank you, Councilor Rizzo. What we're looking for at this time is approval by the council of this section of the law, which is Chapter 32B, Section 20. And what it will allow the city to do is start a OPEB or other post-employment benefits trust fund. The money's already been appropriated in the last budget, so we're not looking for an appropriation. What we're looking for is just the approval of this law, so that acceptance of this law, so that if we accept it, the next step is to make application to PERAC, that we can be involved with their investment system. Now, PERAC is the Public Employees Retirement System that for all the retirees of the cities and towns, they do the investments for them. So what we're looking to do is get part of that and use their expertise instead of going to an outside firm and instead of going to another outside firm and having to watch over our investments in a different manner, making certain that the investment manager is doing the appropriate, which we're going to do anyway, making certain the investment manager, but I think the oversight doesn't have to be with the state system as much as it needs to be with the with an outside investor. They may be a little bit more, take more challenges than we want, make more different, riskier type of investment. I think there's an investment board, and I reviewed their investments, and I reviewed their, not only their investments, but also their track record over the last 10 years. And PERAC has been very successful in their investments over that time period. So with that, what I'm asking again is for the City Council to approve this section of the law in the statutes, so that the city can make application to PERAC in order to start a OPEB trust fund. Now, the reason we want to start an OPEB trust fund, if you read in the, I believe you all received this, but I'm not certain. It was the Standard & Poor's rating, last rating that we got, well, actually 2 ratings ago, that required, well, they mentioned that we actually start a OPEB trust fund. We're one of the few cities and towns who haven't. This particular rating was done, I believe, a couple of years ago, and they're looking for it so it shows that we are somehow trying to fund an obligation we're going to have in the future. It wasn't until, I believe, GASB 45 that, in I think 73, I may be wrong on that, but I'll check, that first required cities and towns, municipalities, to put on their balance sheet your OPEB liabilities. So this is what we're looking to, what needs to be done is to look to getting it to a point of where it's funded on a yearly basis. And the next step after this is decide a program or a procedure where it will be continuously funded each and every year. So it's not just a one-time funding, it's something that needs to be funded each and every year. So that's all.
Thank you very much, George. I appreciate that. I will open it up to councilors. Councilor Guanasso.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Judge, you referred to on the balance sheet that it's a liability,
That's correct.
and why is that?
It's a liability because it's other post-employment benefits. It's benefits that the city has to pay to the retirees.
So we're accruing expenses, so to speak.
Right.
On the liability side, because these are expended due to these retirees.
To the various retirees, both active,
Okay.
people who are going. An actuarial study is done, that I've done every 2 years, and what it states in here is that there's active and there's retired employees. So it takes the active employees and their salaries and takes the retiree people and their salaries, employees, and then it does an actuary on exactly what they feel, well, not exactly, based on some assumptions, what will be the outside liability that we have.
Well, I was always under the impression we're almost to the top on the Moody's bond rating, investment rating. Is that correct?
On the Standard & Poor's, yes, we are.
So this is going to bring us closer to the top?
This should bring us up there, yes. This should bring us one step up.
Thank
We
you,
only
thank
have
you,
one
Mr.
step to
Chairman.
go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Guanasso. Any other councilors have any questions? Well, I just have a couple of things. I mean, obviously, this is a serious problem. As you alluded to, we're now one of the few communities that haven't set up a trust fund to start to fund our we are funding our retirement,
Right.
but we haven't started with our other post-employment benefit funding. I think the state, I was reading somewhere, had a $16.3 billion shortfall, and communities added into that makes up, I think, about $44 billion. So there's clearly a huge amount of work that needs to be done to get ourselves back in line. George, I just have a couple questions that pertain specifically to Revere. Now, I looked at the PERAC website, and it says on a funded basis, we've got $141 million worth of liability, and on a pay-as-you-go basis, it was $214 million.
That's correct.
Can you just explain the difference on the discounted rate for a funded basis and a discounted rate for a pay-as-you-go?
Well, one of the areas is, as I understand it, this is more an actuarial point of view, is that what happens is that when you fully fund it, you were able to take a percentage for overtime, a percentage for those funds in investments. However, if you are not fully funded, you are being sort of penalized by the percentage rate, and that increases the amount of the liability that you have over the years. Present liability, according to our last study, which was done in fiscal year 2017, I believe it was $213 million. So we're looking at a very large number here. $213,713,384 as of June 30th, 2014. It did decrease somewhat to $205,891,672 as of June 30th, 2017. So it depends on there's a number of things it depends on. It depends on the amount of what your health insurance costs are, what your premiums are naturally, and number of retirees, what their pay scales are. So these are all things that, come into account when they do the study itself.
So in 2017, you said it was $205 million?
205 million?
So that actually went down from close to $214 million.
It did.
Prior.
Right.
And now, and what was the reason for that? Because we're not funding this yet. Is it just because the amount of money that we're paying toward retirees' benefits would have gone down, whether it's healthcare or other costs associated with
Partially
that?
healthcare, correct, but the experience gain was mainly due to the premiums increasing by less than the expected 16% over the 3-year period. Medics was only up 2.5%, and the Network Blue was up by 8%, and a decrease in average service. So the actual experience gain is amortized into annual OPEB cost over a 30-year period.
Okay.
So that's what brought it down, as we said.
So, it's my intention to obviously support this. We need to for the long-term financial stability of the city, which we're talking long-term here to pay,
No, we're
to
talking
get caught up. I
long-term.
think our
Right.
retirement goes to 2030 or something like
Right.
that.
I think it's 2038 or something.
Yeah, and so I don't know how far this is going to go off, but just some things, and just food for thought for my colleagues here tonight, and I'm sure it's things you've already thought about, George, but I did a little research on how to start funding and getting, caught up to the extent possible, and there's some strategies that are being used by other communities that, one of them is transferring any funds from any insurance line items that might be left over to the, OPEB trust fund. Medicare D reimbursements, some communities are sending those over to the trust fund. Of course, a portion of free cash. I don't know if that's been discussed or if that's the intent of this current administration, but, I think that should probably play into it a little bit. And then, at some point, which is not going to happen for a long time, but when we do finally get caught up on the retirement side of things, rather than just the city take a windfall, and we're going to be probably long gone by then, but,
hope not.
that I don't mean gone, permanently
No,
gone.
no.
I mean, maybe not just working in City Hall anymore. I don't know. We're talking 2038. I don't know how many, but, that those payments maybe continue on to help fund the trust fund. But anyway, I think this is a no-brainer. I plan on supporting it, and if the clerk could call the roll, do we have a quorum, by the way? Yes, we do. Okay.
Roll call on the request to accept Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 32B, Section 20 is amended. Counselor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Morabito?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Patch?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Rotundo is absent, and Chairman Rizzo?
Yes.
Yes, this communication will be forwarded to the full City Council for approval.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I thank the members, and this will conclude today's meeting of the Ways and Means Subcommittee.